Bring Her Back is the newest film from Danny and Michael Phillips, the two directors who previously brought us Talk to Me, which is one of my favorite horror films of this past decade, and with Bring Her Back, they easily add another film to that list, as with their sophomore outing, they create another great horror film with a great story, but also falls in line with what seems to be their new style of just showcasing some of the most grotesque, violent, and horrifying imagery that you're ever going to see, and you're not going to enjoy watching this movie, even though it is very good. This is a good movie, but I didn't really have a fun time watching it. Even though these directors clearly have excellent visuals, especially when it comes to just showcasing some very grotesque and horrifying imagery, it all works because of how well the story is, and that comes from how well this thing is written. It's a great story that works as something that is just allowed to kind of showcase some horrifying demonic presences and then also just a lot of violent nature, but at the same time it's got an underlying root of themes that deal with grief and how people deal with grief in certain ways, and sometimes ways that are really horrifying, and this is actually really effective in that. The way that this film kind of very slowly unravels what's actually going on with these certain characters is really smart. It keeps you engaged the entire time, keeps you on the edge of your seat, and also just creates a dreadful experience the whole time, which is what you want in a horror film like this. These themes of grief definitely come through mostly through Sally Hawkins' character and the goals that she's trying to accomplish through doing these really terrible things. And while these things are so awful and they lead to some really horrifying imagery that you kind of want to hide your eyes from, you at the same time can, to a degree, understand why the character is doing what she's doing. And that's what's really effective about this movie, is that it surprisingly is emotionally resonant. Yes, it's going to be showcasing some really horrifying imagery, but at the same time, you're really kind of backing up these characters. You're understanding why they're doing what they're doing, and it creates this very strange but kind of like beautiful essence of dealing with issues like grief and kind of the loss of a family member. The Phillips brothers just again kind of follow through on what they did with Talk to Me, where they're just so excellent at kind of creating tension, especially because of how violent and horrifying the imagery they create is. So you're constantly on the edge of your seat, kind of waiting for this next big horrifying thing to happen. And while some of these things are definitely kind of there for shock value, because the story is so good, it allows for it, and it doesn't feel pointless, and it's just done so well with how great the special effects are and how horrifying the sound design can be, that it's truly creating some of the worst imagery that you ever want to see, but in the best way. Everything about this film is just very well made, from the directing to the cinematography and especially the sound design. The sound design mixed with how incredibly realistic these special effects are when it comes to these more violent and grotesque moments make it all the more horrifying, but it totally works, and these shock value moments, they're worthy, they matter, and I totally got to give the Phillips brothers credits for kind of just creating some of this imagery that I really wish I've never seen. But it works, and it's completely effective in this movie. They also do an excellent job at kind of avoiding exposition, but explaining a lot. There's a lot going on here where you're not going to understand exactly what you're looking at, or how a few things are exactly working in this movie, and that's completely fine though, because they choose a really smart way of kind of helping characters and also the audience members understand certain things through actually watching VHS tapes. We aren't just flooded with exposition, instead we're kind of watching it as a character is, and that kind of helps us slowly understand, to a degree, not fully, but understand how certain things are exactly working in this situation. It's a pretty small cast for the most part. You just have 3 kids. All the kids though do an excellent job, and what it's really relying though on is Sally Hawkins' performance, where she's playing this deranged mother character, but what she does really well is that she pulls off being very sympathetic and earnest, where you kind of can sort of relate to her, and that makes all these themes kind of come through a lot stronger. But then when she has to go absolutely insane and deliver a terrifying performance, she does it with ease, and it's just an excellent performance from her, and it makes the whole thing very intriguing and engaging to watch. Through kind of all this slow build and constantly not knowing exactly what's going on, having some truly horrifying imagery happen in front of you that just kind of shakes you to your core, a great performance from Sally Hawkins, and then you're slowly just building to this really interesting ending where it's strangely horrific and beautiful and kind of leaves you with this harrowing feeling after you've watched it. It's just another great film from the Phillips brothers. I just want them to keep making horror films because they've clearly got a great understanding of how to do this to the best degree possible. So overall, Bring Her Back utilizes a great story that tackles themes of grief and loss, but also utilizes Sally Hawkins' performance. It's absolutely incredible, along with some truly horrifying imagery to make another great horror film. And I just hope these guys keep making horror movies because they're truly great and super original as well. And that is why I'm going to give Bring Her Back an 8.5 out of 10.